Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and just we were just talking about that law in Minnesota.
Well, you can't basically drive slow in the left-hand lane, or you'll get a ticket.
Punish slow, increase fine for driving slow in the left lane, not getting out of people's way. Look, the drive to work is sometimes dangerous, in part because you
go so fast.
No, in part because you have to navigate all these Ford Fusions that have their steering wheels detached from their steering columns. So that's one thing you have to worry about. But then, look, I'm a guy who has to tell Chuck Yeager to get out of my way on the drive for work.
Right.
And so I agree with the law. I think the penalty should be a little stiffer, but I was a little too harsh initially.
Well, you initially said life in prison.
Right, but I want to clarify that. Life in prison with the possibility of parole.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to leave a little room for rehabilitation. I think that's fair. All right, we've got a new top economic advisor to President Trump, and it is a blow for free market economics, thank goodness. He is Larry Kudlow.
Yeah, and Larry Kudlow was on, he resigned yesterday from CNBC to take the position, but he mentioned how President Trump kind of buttered him up for the position.
By the way, it was out. I didn't know that. I wasn't watching TV this morning. And the president called, and he said, it's out. Because I don't think he was intending to put it out till tomorrow, Friday. And I said, oh. And he said, you're on the air. And he said, I'm looking at a picture of you. And he said, very handsome. It's so Trumpian.
Yes.
You're very handsome. You do very well on television. Would you like a job?
Kudlow is great. He's a favorite of mine, and not just because,
of his good looks.
No, not
you
just
can see beyond
not
that.
just because of that, not just because of the pinstripe suits. When I was working over at the salt mines at WLS, I got to talk to him all the time because he was a Cumulus host as well. And he's a very sharp guy. He's a great communicator on economics, simplifying it, getting to kind of the main thrust of it. And also he's right on policy, which is the most important thing. So I think, and I hope, he'll be a good influence on President Trump. For more on this topic and the intelligence/foreign policy shakeup, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Mike Gallagher, host of the show that follows us, nationally syndicated talk show host right here, 9 o'clock on our airwaves. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys, great to be with you. I mean, it's fun to talk to my daily morning show prep. You guys, anytime you're off, I'm in big trouble. So no vacations, no sick days, because you're the best show prep a guy like me could ever have. I listen intently every morning and love what you guys continue to do. Dan, before we start about Larry, you talk about the slow drivers and the life in prison with the possibility of parole. Isn't it funny how if we have these fantasies, like if we were emperor of the world, how we'd mete out sentences?
Yes.
My life in prison candidate would be the flight attendant who apparently ordered the poor woman to put the dog in the overhead bin.
Yes,
I was going to ask you about that. I know you're a canine.
Well, he's a dog lover.
Yeah, I know.
And Amy, you either are or you aren't. I had a caller yesterday who acted like I was so crazy and overreacting, but he admitted he wasn't a dog person. So if you're not a dog person or really an animal person, you could be a cat lover, whatever. But if you don't really get pets and the role they play in our lives, then you wouldn't understand why it's all that big a deal that the dog was up in the overhead bin, weakly barking for an hour as it suffocated to death. And a bunch of ninnies sat around on the plane thinking, I guess that's normal to put the dog up in the overhead. So,
I know, that's the one time I wish I was on a plane because I would have stopped that right then and there.
Well, and the criminal investigation has been opened up into that occurrence, and the flight attendant, of course, is saying that I think it's a she. She didn't know that there was a dog in the
bag.
In the crate
or
the bag.
As much as I fly, I can't imagine how there's any scenario that would lead to a dog being put up in the overhead. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, people carry dogs in those carry-ons and put them under the seat in front of them all the time.
Right.
I know there's the pushback. People don't like dogs on airplanes to begin with. I'm allergic to dogs. A lot of people abuse the comfort animal rule. They want their little Chihuahua or Shih Tzu to go with them on a flight, and they got a little tiny little vest. I'm a comfort dog. Yeah, you're a comfort dog.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think I found her.
Exactly. Yeah, you've just outed somebody, Mike.
That's her. She's trained and she's fine. TSA loves her.
Please, big morning star host in Chicago. You can afford the $175 to put the dog in the container under the seat in front of you.
Actually, not with bulldogs. You can't. Not with French or English bulldogs because of their problems with their nasal
Their breathing
passages.
problems.
They don't
yeah.
allow them. They can't allow them underneath. Just so you know.
Gosh.
Well, Mike, obviously, being big shots like we are, we
Yes.
both fly first class or privately, and we reserve a seat for our dogs, which is what I do.
Yeah, those are the best. Now that's somebody that you know. That's a dog person on steroids. Oh, I've got my dog in 2B. She's in the first class compartment here with me. I love the dog, the service animal that's running around the compartment, like up and down the aisle, and people are kind of looking like, is this normal?
Yeah.
And it's like the owner dares the flight attendant to say anything because they're going to launch into their tirade about why they're anxious when they fly and they need a comfort animal. Yeah, we're all anxious while we fly. We're on a metal tube going 600 miles an hour. We're a little anxious.
I had a 95-pound pit bull one time next to me, and that dog was amazing. He laid down, did not move for the entire flight.
Well, there's a story last month in New York, a service peacock.
Oh,
yes, right.
The guy brought this giant, and the airline said, you know what, we're really sorry, but you can't bring your huge peacock onto the plane. And the guy was like, yeah, but I'm nervous. I'm a nervous flyer. Yeah, well, we're nervous to see you think that a peacock is a service animal.
All right.
So it goes.
More kibble over here, stewardess. All right. So, Mike, let's talk about the White House, and let's talk about Larry Kudlow replacing Gary Cohn and your impressions of that choice.
Well, I'm with you, Dan. I'm a Larry Kudlow fan as well. And, of course, as everybody's pointing out, Larry Kudlow isn't a yes man. The president and Larry disagree often, which sort of proves that Trump doesn't just want yes men. There is a narrative from the ever present Trump hating media that he just wants to surround himself with yes men. He actually likes the chaos. He likes the disagreements. And we've all worked for bosses like this, where they sit back and they like to see people kind of battle it out, and then he ultimately makes a decision. That really is sort of his managerial style. And so people ought to be sort of comforted by the fact that Larry Kudlow and the president have differed on policy issues, and the president still has a lot of confidence in him enough to put him into this position. It's been just an insane week, guys. For months and months, we've heard about the need, years actually, for the empowerment of women, women being on an equal playing field with men. Now you've got, along comes Gina Haspel to run the CIA. You would think that would be worth every feminist, every liberal celebrating, every American, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, that for the first time ever, a president has selected a woman to lead the CIA, and of course, all they care about is that she was involved in our interrogation programs in the past. I've seen such goofy headlines as "she tortures just because she likes torture."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's all she's doing. She sits around and she wants to torture people just to get her jollies. But that's another. You heard on the clip you played, Trumpian move. This is a Trumpian move. He throws somebody in there who it's going to be real hard, make the Democrats look real petty to go after this nominee, especially when we're right smack dab in this era of acknowledging women as equals and having the same opportunities, across the spectrum as men. So again, just a typical Donald Trump decision, and it's going to leave these guys talking to themselves like it usually does.
Well, what about other cabinet members? I mean, H.R. McMaster is on thin ice, so is John Kelly. And then this morning, CNN got this email that shows Secretary Ben Carson. The spokesman came out after that furniture flack that said that he had no involvement in the purchase of the $31,000 furniture set for his Department of Housing and Urban Development dining room. But now emails show that Carson and his wife selected the furniture themselves.
Right. And then I saw another story last night. Who was it, guys? You'll remember, who bought the phone booth in his office, and that's like $36,000. They'll all of a sudden they find these instances of government waste and overspending. That's a little bit like finding out there's been some gambling going on in Casablanca. I mean, they spend a lot of money. You don't want to even think about what the security costs are for the president and the vice president. That's a normal way of doing business in Washington. I believe it's part of the onslaught, the volley of let's find crappy news about this administration every chance we get. Some of it's justified, some of it's not. I'm told from people I know in the White House that more changes are coming. You're right, Amy McMaster, many others. And frankly, on a personal note, not being at that level, I don't like that kind of churn. But on the other hand, I look at my 401k and I keep seeing the jobs numbers, and I keep seeing where our economy is going. You look at the GDP, you look at ISIS and where they are and how they're on the run. You look at all these positive accomplishments and all the promises fulfilled, and that to me is the key. Is he keeping his campaign promises? I dare say we've never seen a president who has fulfilled as many campaign promises as this guy. The only problem is you've got the other trajectory of, drama and $31,000 desks and Stormy Daniels and tweets and, all that, and Tillerson likely being fired by Twitter. And stuff that is completely unconventional. This is the world we're in right now, and you take the good with the bad, and I think the ultimate thing the American people ought to do is look at the results, look at the policies, look at the outcome, and where are we, and try to, if you can, distinguish the actual achievements and the actual policy accomplishments from the other trajectory, which is the reality TV show. And I know that's hard to do sometimes.
So with your sources, particularly in the White House, do you have any knowledge about who's got the inside track to head up the Trump Space Force?
No, I mean the last leak or the last pick that was leaked is that he would like Pete Hegseth to run his VA. Now this is the guy
emptying out Fox. Heather North just got a job at the State Department, right?
Right, and of course it's no mystery the president has an affinity for Fox News, and he loves Fox and Friends. That's So Pete Hegseth will be widely mocked. I guess it remains to see as to whether that's going to be a good choice or not. But he doesn't mind this churn. I really am convinced that he really revels in the drama and the churn. I always call it the shiny object for the media. Look over here, look over here. I'm jingling the keys. I'm going to have another personnel move, and I want you all to get excited about it. I'm going to say something to Justin Trudeau that's going to blow your minds, and you're going to get all obsessed about that. And meanwhile, we're adding X number of jobs. We're continuing to do another tax cut, which is in the offing, and we're going to continue to try to improve the economy and all this other stuff. So, I mean, we're down the rabbit hole, guys. There's no question. We're living in a time. I often think, what's history going to look like in 100 years from now? What's history going to be like? What are they going to say about 2018, 2019, 2020? And after this special election in Pennsylvania and a good night for the Democrats, this could be a bloodbath and a catastrophe for Republicans in November. I doubt it. I don't see it happening, but maybe this is a harbinger of things to come. And if it does, hang on, because then it's really going to get ugly. It's going to get real, real messy, guys.
All right. Maybe Steve Ducey for the Space Force. Mike Gallagher.
Brian Kilmeade.
Yeah, Kilmeade too is a fine choice. Mike Gallagher, host of the eponymous Mike Gallagher Show, comes on at 9 o'clock, so stay tuned to our airwaves from Mike in just about an hour and a half. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Great chatting with you. Thanks for all you do. Keep it up.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.